through this before. With Dale, I talked about it a little bit on his download show, and how I felt like a lot of that his accident or concussion was put on me. So that's my nature. That's who I am, and no matter what anybody else says, that's ultimately what I'm going to think, and I'm going to hope to help improve it.
Did you see this coming? Did you see this coming?
No, I mean, ultimately, everybody can hear or talk about the rear impacts being a little bit, greater, and you can't foresee the future, but ultimately for us, just trying to put the best race car around him and safety equipment, and we saw what happened with Kurt, and just trying to go from there.
You were talking with Scott Miller and John Probst in the garage yesterday. It looked like you were showing them some of the interior stuff.
Yeah,
What was that conversation?
Ultimately, I said I was going to help improve it, and you got to act on those words. And so, I reached out to Scott Miller, and not only through the process of, the driver change, but, I wanted to, just kind of go over a few things that potentially, maybe could help, or what I saw or experienced with the car, or those type of things, and just have that dialogue open. And ultimately, that's the number one thing, is when you're trying to attack a problem, you want allies to help you with it, and I want to be one of those guys.
How did Alex wasn't required to go to the infield care center at Texas because he finished the race?
Yeah.
So what was the process of realizing that he was in trouble and wasn't going to be able to race?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when these race car drivers, they go through a lot, especially at Texas with the pace without the fall off. You got the 100-degree heat. The interior temperatures were 125 to 130. So for him, being in a crash, you are a little bit more heightened of what the next day brings, but you still have the regular fatigue and all that stuff on you. So for him, it was just be methodical about it. Don't put yourself in a state of alarm and emergency, but also make sure you're being self-conscious and making the right decision, especially when you're coming to a place like Talladega.
Did he go to the doctors on his own, or was he asked to go to the doctor?
He Alex is very responsible, especially with Dale as kind of a mentor around him, and so I feel like ultimately it was his decision to get the treatment or get evaluated, to go those steps just to make sure everything checked out, and ultimately it's a tough situation, because you want to say, well, did he get called off? Did he do it himself? I think in the end the right decision was made, no matter how it was made, and like I said, the race car drivers have Monday mornings evaluation of themselves and how the race goes, and when you include a crash into that, there's always question marks.
Greg, where does the industry collectively go from here?
I think we got to come together. We can't continue to think it's one individual's fault, or one sanctioning body's fault, or one race team's fault. I think we got to come together as a group of drivers, as executives, as team owners, as crew chiefs, and say, hey, what can we do to help make this better? And understanding the problem, I think, is clear. Solving the problem is where it starts to get a little cloudy, and the common expense of it to what the right move is, and so that's where I like to see it continue to go. And when you have a car of this nature, development is it slows down quickly comparatively to when a race team had it. We used to cut frame rails out and cut clips off in a matter of a day and put it back together, and so that's the cumbersome part of what we're facing right now. But I think there's ways for us to get better without a lot of expense, and the time frame has to be shorter on these type of developments.
Is there enough time to do it in 2022, or is it going to have to wait till 2023?
Yeah, I mean, I think the time is running out, but I mean, if it's even if it's for one race, it's better than none and waiting. So going to after Talladega, you got Vegas. That is a big place you can hit, and there's a lot of like I said, if we get one race of development in, then that's a win for everybody.
Have you found one specific thing or a couple specific things that you could say, let's do this now, that would make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, we have the rear bumper structures that it's a bolt-on piece. It's something that can be fabricated, or modified to produce more of a crush zone. But ultimately, you don't want to get to the point where you take away some of the energy absorption, and now you're hitting front and rear clips. Because there's a stiffness factor of you have to have a crumple zone. And then what do you hit next? So that's the type of area we probably could go and make some adjustments to rather quickly, but you don't want to miscalculate there. So you can't knee-jerk react, especially in these type of situations. I feel like I think NASCAR has done a great job of trying to put regulations around the driver. Seat, headrest foam, those type of things, leg boards, all that stuff to try to provide extra security and safety for them. I think that's another area that we can look to potentially improve, especially for rear impacts and how the footprint of that headrest or where is it touching the helmet. Also, I can look at some education on how to crash. That's very silly to say, but if you look at the video, Alex, way he drives, his head's off the headrest, his head's forward. It created, that little bit of a gap that the acceleration to the headrest was quick, and that most likely could have caused the concussion-like symptoms. So just, your natural reaction is to brace, and, I don't know how you can educate or teach that, but
are you hopeful Alex will return this year?
Oh yeah, he'll be back. I feel like he's determined to be back. He wants to come and finish the season off strong. We had a good momentum going for in the first round, and have a little setback here, but I feel like he's going to do everything he can to make sure he's back, and right now that's 100% my goal for him is to be at the Roval.
Will drivers be able to? Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
When you said, Greg, earlier about your decisions that you made, can you just elaborate on what?
Yeah,
that
I mean, like just you can go back to a pit call. You can go back to what air pressure you're running. You can go back to maybe not. It's so everything is all related to one decision. It's not just air pressure. It's not just camber. It's not just the decision to maybe stay out and try to get stage points when we just had a caution. We had three cautions on that, or 2 cautions and 3 restarts on that set of tires. So maybe if I would have pitted and put more tires on and not worried about the points, but those are the things that go through my head of how I could change or understand. We knew that around 35 to 40 laps, the tires were having some issues, and we were getting to the 30s on our tire, and maybe I needed to get a fresh set on. So that's what I'm thinking about. Obviously, I can even go back to when Dale had his issue. I took 2 tires at Michigan, and we got kind of in a bad situation in traffic on a restart, and accident with somebody, and that's me. That's what I think about, and what could I do to? I'm never going to control the future, but how could I have changed it? But that's the way.
What is Sunday?
That's already been asked, but there's a lot of talk about what NASCAR can do in the off season, right? But is there anything in the short term, whether it's the next couple weeks, and you can put a Band-Aid on this problem when it's not as big of an issue?
Yeah, I mean, there's always something, and the question was asked, and the one area I looked at was the areas of the bolt-on bumpers, the aluminum bolt-on bumpers that maybe we can create a little bit more, crush area with those, but ultimately you can't just swing and miss with that either, because ultimately now you're coming to stiffer front and rear clips that potentially could do even, if it blows through that bolt-on piece quicker, and now you're connecting into something else. So we can't just knee-jerk react at it, but we have to react and try to implement something of calculated as much as you can. So there's small things we can do, but ultimately, I think you just got to put focus and emphasis on one thing and try to get that right.
You spoke about drivers keeping their head off the headrest. How hard would it be to retrain drivers to keep that back?
Jared Haas with Fronstretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those 2 videos out that we have right beside you. Visit Frontstretch.com for more great content.